Alright, so welcome back to the channel. This time we're reviewing the Apple AirPods Pro Gen 3. Now, these came out about 2 weeks ago when Apple unveiled them in their, newest keynote, and they promised that not only were you going to get better sound quality out of these than any previous generation AirPods Pro, you're also going to get the best active noise cancellation in the business. They said it's twice as good as the AirPods Pro Gen 2. Now, I've had these for quite some time now, almost 2 weeks. I got them the day of the release, and I figured I ought to share my thoughts on how I feel about them. At first, just a general review of what they sound like, the pros and cons. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. So when you open the box, you get the typical Apple stuff. You're first greeted with the quick setup guide and warranty info. Set that to the side, and you get the AirPods Pro Gen 3 in all their glory, wrapped in this eco-friendly wrapper, which has a striking resemblance to a sumo wrestler's loincloth. Setting these aside, you're greeted with a grand total of 5 ear tips, including those already on the AirPods, to accommodate many more ear sizes. And that's it. No charging cable included, mainly because Apple anticipates you may already own a USB-C cable or a wireless charger. Pretty simple, I guess. Now, nothing new when it comes to build quality. It's the same Apple plastic that you've seen on many Apple products throughout the years, right down from the inception of the first AirPods to ever release. So that being said, these have been quite durable for me. I haven't had any actually break on me over the years, despite, being out and about and using them on the go. Granted, I don't drop them every day, but when I have dropped them, maybe like twice, I can speak about my Gen 4 ANCs, they've held up just fine. They haven't broken, they haven't sounded weird, no issues with charging, it's all been great. Now, there is a minor concern when it comes to the overall durability of the case itself, because I remember with my Pro Gen 1s, the case apps actually stopped holding a charge. So, if you had them plugged in, you can totally use the AirPods, but as soon as you unplug it, the case does not retain a charge, and the AirPod Pros just ran out of battery, and that was it. So I'm really hoping this doesn't happen with the newer versions of the AirPods Pro. My Gen 2s have been solid thus far, though I'll admit they're not my main when on the go. I use the 4 ANCs, the regular AirPods, but still, they've held on. So let's talk about comfort here. The new design features a little bit of plastic that goes into your ear canal right underneath the buds themselves. So you got the bud, underneath the bud is the plastic tip. The new buds actually feature a small amount of foam within them that kind of helps with A, comfort, and B, with overall sound isolation. I actually prefer the new design, even though at first it does feel a little weird because it penetrates you without even buying you a drink. Like, what is that? But whatever, I'll let it slide just because of how good it feels. And yes, you can quote me on that. Now, I tested the active noise cancellation on these, and wow, I was blown away. When Apple said these are twice as good as the previous gen, they weren't kidding. They really weren't kidding. These are remarkable. I went to test these out into a shopping mall, so like a bunch of people, food court noises, grill this, spatula that, laughing, children crying, the whole ordeal. And then you put them on, and not even, music not even playing. Everything disappears. Well, not everything. I would say 90% of everything disappears. And that is without music playing. Just put them on and turn ANC on. It was truly incredible. Now, I'll admit I'm one of the people that can be particularly sensitive to the pressurization that occurs with active noise canceling. And yeah, there's still a bit of that here, but it's significantly less than earlier iterations. Not perfect, but it's better. Now, speaking through them through transparency mode was fairly adequate. I never felt like I couldn't hear myself, but I will say that because of the new stem in the 3's design, having them off angle does change the overall effectiveness of the transparency, or I should say all modes. So just make sure you find an ear tip that fits you properly to make sure they always go in at the right angle. Now with adaptive audio on, only certain sounds will pass through, important things like maybe voices that are close to you, that you actually want to listen to, not far away voices. Alarms, items like, car horns, bells, things that you definitely want to pay attention to if they're ringing or going off. Now in my experience, on the AirPods Pro Gen 3, this mode wasn't all that different, to be completely honest. But it was decent. I can't complain, but I'm also not impressed. So just for context on the amplification section, I use these with my iPhone 16 Pro at around 9 out of 16 when listening to music on Spotify, which, by the way, Spotify Lossless is out now. Controversial, but it's better than nothing. So use it, don't forget to toggle it on. So I can potentially see myself raising the volume to 10 out of 16 in certain tracks that are a little more quiet, but your mileage may vary. I don't blast my music at ear-deafening levels, but I don't listen too quiet either. Now, ladies and germs, let's get to the sound quality. Now, quick disclosure, I'll be listening to these on my iPhone 16 Pro without the use of any EQ whatsoever. I will, however, discuss any glaring issues I may encounter across the modes. By default, I'll be using transparency mode because I will be doing the sound testing in my apartment, which I live alone. I don't have loud electronics on, so nothing to disturb me or impede this from being an honest as can be review. So with that out of the way, let's begin. So starting out with the bass here, the sub bass on these is intense. It is intense. I mean, in Zealots of Stockholm at the 3:05 minute mark, that note went hard and long as it plunged to the very end, and then came back up equally as strong. To that point, bass extension on these it's actually fantastic. Like, it's really, really good. Alive, Empire of the Sun, said remix, was euphoric on these. Like, it was subwoofer levels of potent and powerful. I'm not gonna say it has the most bass out of any headphone you've ever heard, no, but for what is kind of like supposed to be like, oh, these are the standard, the ones that everybody get, right? Not just the bass head special. These have a lot of sub bass in there, a lot of presence and a lot of detail within that sub bass. Now in Summit by Skrillex and Ellie Goulding, I was genuinely shocked at how low these extended on the 49-second mark. I've never gotten a chance to hear this track on a subwoofer except for, my cars, which actually kind of sucks, but different topic. So I was surprised to hear this much detail coming from these. It was really good. Now bass guitars have a good amount of growl and texture to them, though they can have a little bit of extra hum to the higher notes because of that slight coloration in the mid bass. Now mid bass actually has some pretty good control over it. There is a bit of forwardness there and warmth in the lower mid bass, but it's nothing too crazy. It's not a deal breaker. Now looking into the mids here, female vocals they're not recessed per se, but they're not very forward either. If 0 means perfectly in line with the rest of the instruments in the track, vocals are just one step forward. They never sounded harsh, strident, or shouty, nor were they too dark, recessed, or pulled back. As far as raw timbre is concerned, they were not offensive in any way. Despite that, they never blew me away either. Now the cellos had a decent amount of texture to them and detail, but it sounded a little leaner than what a true cello should sound like. So it traded off a little bit of that warmth and, like delicious, like hum, that sort of honey type texture that cellos have, in exchange for providing a little more detail in, the pizzicato, and then people putting the arco on the string, stuff like that. So it's a matter of preference here. If you're looking for absolute neutrality and accuracy in cellos, not quite it, but it's not horribly off either, but you do get a good bit of detail as a trade-off. Now brass instruments sound pretty adequate too. I can't fault them for anything. Not once did they sound shouty or harsh, including the saxophone in Tank by the seatbelts. Or seatbelts, I should say. I know people online get so pissed off about that, but I digress. The lower brass had a good amount of texture to the notes as well, but nothing to write home about. And now we get to the train wreck, I mean the treble. So this is perhaps the most troublesome part of the frequency response. There are parts of the treble response that can get quite hot sometimes. I mean, just listening to Bangarang by Skrillex and Syra, it gets right to the edge of being sibilant, but it doesn't quite cross that line for me either. For my fellow audiophiles here, I can actually be a fan of some semi-spicy treble, especially like the treble that's heard in planar magnetic headphones like HiFiMAN sometimes, not all of them. It's just about how they reproduce those treble frequencies. It's not about how much they give you, it's about the timbre specifically. There's just a special way that, for example, in speakers, that ribbon tweeters do high-end, or planar magnetic headphones do high-end, that just sounds so like smooth and silky, but still, you know, forward, distinctive, and amazing. Now, dynamic headphones or neodymium drivers, such as the Airpods, not a fan at all. The treble here comes across as glassy in certain areas, especially the hi-hats in this track, as well as the spoken consonants. In The Art of Shredding by Pantera, the 2010 remaster, those cymbals get just a touch too spicy for my liking. And mind you, this track was reproduced in a way where the cymbals are supposed to be a little hot, a little spicy, because it's supposed to sound kind of souped up, you know, super zingy and super pounding on the bass type thing. And sure, you know, these do that, but they go too far on the high end. It's too much zing. All right, I don't need too much zing. Now this time, I actually get a bit too much sibilance out of Phil's vocals from the consonants, you know, the letter S. It's just too much. It's too much, man. But on a more positive note, these can display a bit of airiness up top, which is definitely appreciated in tracks like Summit, you know. You're on top of a mountain, so it feels like that type of airiness is a very special thing that these do, so there is a bit of an upside here. Now let's talk about the soundstage here. So Apple promised that this new design would increase the soundstage of their Pros, and while I did get to listen to my Gen 2s to compare a little bit here, more on that in the comparison video, it's okay. It's a little more wide, you know, a little wider, but it's nothing crazy. You're not going to put these on and say, oh, they sound huge. No. For those of us audiophiles here, these are about as narrow as the Sennheiser HD 600s. So it's not like that's a deal breaker. You know, you don't need a super wide soundstage in order to have a good music listening experience, but you know, it's a pro or a con for some people. Now, the part that did impress me here was imaging. I mean, these do imaging quite well. This is about as good as it gets when it comes to imaging until you take the next step into like hi-fi audiophile headphones like the Sennheiser HD800S or even the HD800s, which are now cheaper because they're, you know, on the secondhand market. In City to City by Zomboy and Bell Humble, that note at the beginning of the track that travels from left to right, then back and forth, and then it goes to the middle, and then left, and then right. You know, it felt like it wanted more room to exist, but it just didn't have it. Like, the imaging was there, but the soundstage didn't really allow it to do this, you know? Not to mention, it kind of sounded like the sound went a little bit past the border of the soundstage and sort of just kind of faded away at the very edges, as opposed to keeping that same level of volume. Like, it is there, but just a little farther away. This kind of sounded like, oh, it's disappearing. It was sort of like at the edges, it was starting to hide behind an object, you know, like there was something in the way. Now, at the beginning of Rasputin by Boney M, this is the single version, the drums move back and forth from left to right the way they're supposed to, but you could tell they have very, very little space to work with. So in this case, that narrow soundstage ends up being a bit of a detriment. Now going into some notes and observations here, strange little bug, but when I was trying to switch my listening from my iPhone to my MacBook Pro, the AirPods Gen 3 tried going back to the iPhone even though I specified in Spotify. That's fun. Specified in Spotify. Say it 5 times. Specify in Spotify, specify in Spotify, specify in Spotify, specify in Spotify, specify in Spotify. I'm just a child, forgive me. When I specified in Spotify that I wanted it to play on my Mac, I then got a pop-up on my Mac saying they were connected to my iPhone, so I had to click the connect button to switch back to the Mac. Now, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but Apple claims, right, that these are supposed to be a seamless integration across all your devices, and it's never supposed to make you, go to the settings to do this, go and click that to accept blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't the case here. I know I have my iPhone with me, and I know the Spotify app is open even though my phone is locked, but I want to open these up, and if I have my Mac on and I was listening to music on my Mac, I want to listen to music on my Mac. Like, does that make sense? I think it does. So to conclude, let's wrap this up here. As I mentioned at the beginning of this review, I am an audio enthusiast first and foremost, so sound quality above all is what's going to make or break a headphone for me, no matter if it has this cool feature or that cool feature. So in the end, I do think these are adequate overall. In the end, they have a few flaws, but if you're someone who is not too sensitive to treble, I think it's an issue you can overlook. If you're someone who isn't primarily into vocals above all else, then you'll be fine with these. If you're someone who's looking for a headphone with bass head quantities of higher quality sub bass that doesn't distort and ruin the rest of the frequency response, you're gonna love these. But above all, if what you're looking for is first and foremost top-notch ANC, active noise cancellation, and then the sound just has to be okay, then these would be a pretty good fit for you. Otherwise, if you don't need the best in the market ANC and can go with like second or third place, I would suggest looking elsewhere. So that's going to wrap up my review. Thank you so much. I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, ciao.